Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good time zone. Welcome back to what I think might be the final episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, but we'll see. I've had a little break. I have had a snack, got myself a drink, and then spent 10 minutes troubleshooting why my controller wasn't working with the game anymore. Had to restart my computer. But we're back. That's why I'm back on the title screen. So, last we left off, there was a bit of a bombshell. We figured out that Emma was the person who caused Neil Marshall's death. I think there's still going to be some twists and turns along the way, so let's find out what happens. Let's jump right in. We've got the second half of the trial to go. February 25th, 12:06, District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Kind of, you are, yeah. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it Lena's having you run errands again. Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give you this if there was a break in today's trial. Evidence law. Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. You could at least study some evidence law, really. The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said, if you're planning to take him on, you're going to need this book. Ooh, this is her subtle way of defying him. Him. I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Evidence law securely slipped into pocket. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, Detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat, despite all these allegations being thrown at me? Mr. Edgeworth. The real trial today hasn't begun yet. Hell yeah. What? What else is there left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death. And now you're telling me you want to do more? You've got to be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, Detective. Lena didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're going to expose him. No matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. February 25th, 12:52, District Court, Courtroom Number 9. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Ms. Lena Skye. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honour. The Inquiry Committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honour. Yes, well, normally this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness. But, this isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have, struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses? I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone has been talking and... Very well, Your Honour. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defence to call forth all further witnesses. What? But there's no precedent for what you're proposing. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses.
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say?
Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well, the defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. Let me just... Right, before anything else happens. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. Okay.
Then it's settled. The defense may now call forth the next witness.
Mr. Wright, you do realise this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. The defense calls. The time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand.
Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything?
As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honour?
True. All right. Bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand.
Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this, some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, you want to play hardball, eh?
Please, Mr. Gant.
Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the Acting Chief of Police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto. What's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lena's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh, like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal? Weapons. Sure, take my testimony for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true?
I'm afraid so. The Chief of Police has the right to refuse to testify.
Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. And the game just minimized, I'm not sure why. Let's carry on. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you.
Very well. The witness may now begin his testimony.
SL9 incident. Witness testimony. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lena there. Apparently she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery.
Is that when Dark was arrested?
Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Dark bumped his head.
I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut.
If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I'd better hit him hard and fast. Yeah, we might not be able to press too much on him. Long story short, we slipped up. I feel like I should press on. So the two of you ran immediately after him, right? That's right, but Dark made it to the elevator first. So Neil and I split up. He went upstairs and I went downstairs. I guess you could say he got lucky. What's this about a power outage? Oh, that. The elevator stopped all of a sudden and I got the shock of my life. Well, probably not as shocked as Neil was when that knife went into his heart, though. That's not funny. Okay. When I went to my office, I found Lena there. His accent is just dancing all over the place today, I'm sorry. It's not going to be consistent. Could you tell us what you saw? It was a shocking sight. Neil and that serial killer were lying in a heap on the floor, all tangled together. Dark was also lying collapsed on the floor. Yes, apparently he hit his head and was knocked out. Next to them were those two poor girls, Lena and Emma. Lena was cradling Emma in her arms. Looking back at it now, he must have already known what her sister had done. Apparently she had already arranged the crime scene. Okay, we can press quite freely, it seems. How can you know that? Because of the victim's body. It had already been moved. So that means you found the body near Lena's desk? That's right. I think you said earlier. It was my suit of armour that really stabbed the prosecutor. Yes. Anyway, as you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. So we've got, so the evidence we have against that is this. Found in Chief Gant's safe. I think that's what we're going to need to present. Let's press on this to be consistent. As I recall, a ceremony was held at the police department that day. Yes, that's right. I guess you could say I'm a workaholic. After winning his award, Neil was all fired up too. That's probably what spooked Dark and made him run away like that. Was the defendant, Lena Skye, also present in the room? I don't quite remember. At the very least, she wasn't there when Dark ran for it. Okay. I think we have the piece of cloth. If he really had nothing to do with the forgery, then how do you explain this? What's that? And what's that on it? A handprint? Chief Gant, your explanation, please. I don't know. You tell me, son. Huh? My dear Righto, don't you know the second rule of evidence law? Uh-oh, not this again. Evidence law. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. Tell me, how is that rag relevant to this trial?
It appears the defence was not prepared.
I guess it's too early to use this piece of evidence.
Please accept my profound apologies, Chief. Would you mind giving the defence another chance?
Well, okay, I'll do it just this once, but only because you asked, Udgy.
Thank you. I assure you the defence is terribly sorry.
Yeah, sorry I didn't nail you. Okay, interesting. Might be the evidence list. Because this is related to SL9. So, oh, so's that though. We could try this. What else have we got? We've got this. I'm assuming this was for Gant to get Edgeworth away from his car to put Bruce Goodman in the boot. Or the trunk, sorry. Must be relevant to the case on trial. Which is technically the current case. As in Lena Sky's trial. Oh, this is tricky. I think I'm gonna try the ID card record. Your Honor, what do you think about the witness's statement? Oh, no, that's a loss of some points.
I'm not sure I follow.
Clearly contradicts the, I thought... You don't sound very...
Very convinced, Mr. Wright. Objection overruled.
I don't think that won me any points with the judge. Could be this. Right, let's go through systematically. It's not going to be my attorney's badge, I don't think. It's not going to be Goodman's ID. It could be the King of Prosecutors trophy because he removed the halberd from it. I don't think it's going to be Edgeworth's knife. I don't think it's going to be the parking stub. Not the Blue Badger. Not the autopsy report. Not the memo. Not the phone. Not the parking lot. Okay. Not the crime photo, not the shoe. Not the switchblade knife. Not the testing fluid. Not the ID card record, because we tried that already. Not the fingerprinting set. Possibly the screwdriver, that feels tenuous. Probably not the lost item report. Not going to be the floor plans, not going to be the glove. Not going to be the locker, or the jar. Or the fingerprints. Security video. The evidence list has already been presented, right? So maybe it's that. I think that's my next thing to try. You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery. But I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this list, for example.
That's the list Emma Sky drew her picture on.
This was discovered in your desk. Not only that, but a piece of this jar that was sitting in your office was found inside your safe.
It was found where?
You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation.
Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this?
Yeah. He is a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So you admit to it then? That you were involved in the forgery? Who, me? What do you mean, you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Oh, he's turning it on us now and accusing us of planting it. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Writer? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured Dick will receive his due punishment. What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work.
Yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene.
My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. Evidence and forgery. Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way.
Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honour?
When investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol.
You do understand that I'm the Chief of Police, right? There will be consequences. Oh. Indeed, I believe I will press charges, so you won't make the same mistake again.
My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know.
Alright, Aji, in return though.
I know, that place, right?
Huh? What are these guys, telepathic? Evidence and forgery. Well, I know you could have planted them in my office, but I didn't. What have we got? Maybe that's the time to plant this. To use this, I'm not sure. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. Technically we can if there's an ID card record of access to Gant's office. But I don't know. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Oh, I'm really not sure. Let's see if we can press on these. I'd appreciate it if you'd stop making those ridiculous allegations. Yes, you do have a point. You wouldn't have the guts to do something like that. What? I'll have you know, back in the day I once broke into a cattle ranch and
Mr. Wright, what are you saying?
Anyway, you can't prove you didn't carry in the evidence, can you? If you have proof to the contrary, you're going to need it later. Later? What are you talking about? What else? I'm talking about when Raito's prints are found. Yes, if they're found inside my safe, they would prove his investigation was illegal. Sure, I've never faced anyone as slimy as this guy, yeah, that's for sure. Although I'd say Von Karma comes close. What do you mean by that? This is all purely hypothetical, of course. But suppose I did place those items in my safe. Such an act wouldn't necessarily constitute forgery. If concealing oh, excuse me. I took a sip of my drink and it almost went down the wrong way. Ooh. If concealing evidence found at a crime scene isn't forgery, I'm not through speaking yet, righto? It all depends on when the evidence was discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. Are you saying this jar fragment wasn't discovered in the initial investigation? would appear not. After all, it wasn't listed in the evidence list. That was torn in half, you mean? Well, we know it could have suddenly materialised the day after Dark was sentenced. Oh, and wouldn't that be convenient? Right. The Chief is talking about a possibility, so long as you can't rule that out. Your remarks, however clever they may be, will only succeed in wasting time. Tell me something I don't know. Come on now, Writer. Think about it. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. How can you look me in the eye and say that? Because I'm innocent. Remember? Who was it that murdered Neil?
I'm not sure I care for the word murder here.
Yeah, it would not fit the legal definition of murder.
But in the end, the person responsible for Mr. Marshall's unfortunate demise was Emma Skye.
Well, now do you see? Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Really, Chief Gant. At the very least, there is one very large benefit you've reaped from all of this. Oh, I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? That would of course be the position you have, Chief of Police.
Oh.
The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in itself is sufficient motive. Oh, that's a good one. Huh? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next Chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little.
Is that true, Edgeworth?
Yes, he was going to be made Chief anyway. Yeah. Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at. So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There, it's out in the open now. Adji, would you mind if I changed my testimony a little?
By all means, please do.
Interesting. I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. Nothing in it for you. Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lena's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you'd better think again. You're right, you don't feel sorry for anyone. You're tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though. Oh, that's a good one, Worthy. Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out? True, you might not help out anyone for their sake. But if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone.
Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the Chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand.
That's not what I mean.
Very well then. Who is this person you believe Chief Gant may have helped forge evidence?
That would be one Lena Skye.
Chief Prosecutor Lena Skye, the defendant.
I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister, Lena? And as for Chief Gant, he would also have a reason to help Lena if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit.
Self-profit? What do you mean?
After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lena Skye was appointed Chief Prosecutor at the Prosecutor's Office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant.
But how would he profit from all of this?
He would be able to use the Chief Prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations.
Do you mean to tell me that despite the Chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets?
No.
Oh wait. You must mean puppet as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind.
Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lena Skye in forging evidence. Your motive to appoint her as Chief Prosecutor so you could control her. Righto, my boy. You have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lena? For example, is Lena testifying that I've done such a thing? Lena... she's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant.
I'm afraid without any proof this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture.
Unless that is also what happened in this incident.
This incident? Which one would that be?
Of course I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The Chief Prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her. Worthy, you'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt.
Just what do you mean?
What he means, Your Honour, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the Chief is now making Lena take the rap to cover up his involvement.
What? What? Order. I said order. Mr. Wright, you can't be serious.
Huh?
This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. To accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder. That's it. Impossible.
Your Honour, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier to understand language. Damn. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. It looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this.
Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder?
Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell.
I see. Alright then. Let's see what Mr. Wright's got, and it better be good. Show us this evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman.
ID card record. Could be an option here. Screwdriver could also be an option if that fails, but ID card record feels the strongest.
This is the ID card list.
Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 7777777. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number. It's your number.
What? How do you know that?
The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code.
7 digits? You don't mean...
I'm afraid so, Your Honour. The code was 7777777. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime.
Order. Chief Gant, what do you have to say?
Nothing. The defence's search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card.
Chief Gant, so you admit it. You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime.
What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days? Chief Gant, I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman.
What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lena Skye's guilt.
No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting?
In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime.
Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime.
Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it.
So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the Chief of Police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day.
He needed to?
Yes, to transfer the evidence out.
Oh.
Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him. There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on, let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the Chief of Police, murdered Paul Goodman. Exactly.
But wait, the Chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card.
Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done that, something of the sort. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body.
No.
We got him. Well, there's probably a bit more to go still.
Chief Gant, you didn't.
The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lena at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting, Mr. Wright. The victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there?
He was at the police department
The entire day, you know? And everyone's aware that Lena stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the Chief of Police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Also, you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey you, take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time I thought it was a useless clue just taking up space. Except I didn't. I knew it would come in handy.
How could the Chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence.
It's the screwdriver. To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. This is how he moved Detective Goodman's body.
What's that? A screwdriver? But what does that have to do with this case?
Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is the screwdriver doing here? It's here because... Oh. I was asked to go. By Chief Gant, no less. He told me he wanted me to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office. But you did, because Chief Gant asked you to. You mean I... The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car.
Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car.
Yes, unless of course you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Ms. Lena Skye.
Order, order, order. What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defence's outrageous accusations?
Think back to the photograph Mr. Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It is a photo of the body being taken from the trunk.
Chief Gant, please say something.
I believe. Your time's up.
My time's up.
Sorry, Raito, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're to make it in time for the early bird special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? The police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons. Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now.
What? That is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered.
So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy. You stabbed old Goodman, that's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I had Lane to dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with.
I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current Chief of Police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright.
Your Honour?
Do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Skye dispose of his body?
Do I have any concrete proof? I think I have to say yes. I'm going to save. But I think I have to say yes. We will try presenting some evidence. I can't let him just squirm his way out of this. I've got to keep the pressure on. Yes, Your Honour. I do have such evidence.
Then please hurry up and present it. Just remember, I've better prove Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman beyond a shadow of a doubt.
I can't check the other side of the list. That's the wrong thing that I didn't want to check anyway. This is what I wanted to check. Yeah, 4:20 PM. Autopsy says within an hour and a half of 4 PM, so it could have been up to 5:30. So that helps us absolutely none. Okay. I think this is going to be the evidence. Possibly. I'm gonna try this.
So, what exactly is this evidence?
It's proof as to whether or not it's enough to demonstrate the Chief's guilt. I'll let you be the judge.
But I am the judge.
Oh, right. Well, what do you think, Your Honour? I think that's bad.
What I think, Mr. Wright, is I'm going to be late for lunch.
I guess it wasn't enough. Please, Your Honour, give me just a little longer to consider.
I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current Chief of Police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof.
I'm going to try the no option just in case. It's like a flip turn at the end. There's no use showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honour, at present I have no conclusive evidence.
Huh.
See, Aji?
In that case, this court is forced to penalise you for your allegations against the Chief.
What? Here's a tip. Never gamble with what you can't afford to lose, Raito. Seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Aji, I'll leave the rest to you.
I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency.
Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her.
Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean?
There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honour of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth. Another witness. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony.
But Chief Gant has invoked his right...
That's the wrong person, but Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else, one more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room.
Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person?
Why are you asking me, Your Honour? Have you forgotten? The defence is the one calling witnesses today. It's going to be Lena Sky, I think.
Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist?
She may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can't just stop now. So it was the right decision to say no, we don't have evidence.
The defendant is Lena Sky.
She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 PM on February 21st. Her task, to dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders.
Mr. Edgeworth?
The prosecution has no objection, Your Honour.
Very well. The court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in
Hold on.
Huh?
Chief Gant.
I thought you were going to eat.
Listen good, Lena. He's talking to Lena. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. Oh, this isn't good. Of course you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright then, I've got a lunch date to meet. Yeah, why would he come back if he wasn't guilty as shit?
Okay, if there aren't any further objections, this court is now in recess.
Is it going to be continued me? No, it's not. Good, okay. I was going to be annoyed. February 25th, 2:04 PM. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. Looks like we managed to stay in the game. It was a flip turn of like everything else than what we'd done up to that point. Where we had to say, no, actually we don't have concrete proof, where every other time the game was wanting us to. Sorry, I'm just readjusting in my chair slightly. This is going to be a rather long episode, but it's fine, it's the final one. Probably. Unless there's another case. No, there's not another case. I know there's not another case. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edgeworth. That chief, he's something else, eh, pals? Detective Gumshoe. I'm not a detective anymore. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
Don't worry. I've already decided where to work now. At your office.
Hell yeah. I'm down. My office?
Sure. I'll take the place of that top-knot girl you used to work with.
Could you mean... Maya?
Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gant's done it again. How is it he always gets the upper hand?
It's not fair he has the right to refuse to testify. Settle down, right? Remember what the judge said?
But Chief, that is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered.
Risks? What did he mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too? Emma, are you okay? Yeah, when I came to I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery. So she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before. No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I almost feel somehow relieved. Relieved? Yeah, now I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. And she did it all, just to protect me. Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her.
What do you mean?
What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside. To force herself to do anything and everything the chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold. It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall.
Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal.
Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armour. I see.
Well, we'd better get back. It's time for the final act.
Emma, why don't you wait? No, I'm going with you. I want to be there, when Lena tells the truth. Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. Don't to be continued me there. We're ignoring that. This is just going to be a bumper episode. We're carrying on. Let's save the progress anyway. I've decided this is the final episode. If I have to sit here recording for 12 more hours. No, not quite. Let's continue though. February 25th, 2:21 PM, District Court, courtroom number 9.
Now then, will the defendant, Ms. Lena Skye, please take the stand?
Ms. Lena Skye, you are the Chief Prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years.
Please provide the court with your testimony, Ms. Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth.
Of course, the truth. Lena, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister.
Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant.
Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. Gant and the fabrication, witness testimony. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Incorrect.
Are you sure about this testimony?
Your Honour, I'm confessing to a capital offence, of course I'm sure. But Lena...
If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this.
That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. What if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming out in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself.
The defence may now begin its cross-examination.
Gant and the fabrication. I worked alongside Gant for years. How many years exactly? Ever since I made senior detective. Let's see, I was 24 then, so that would be 5 years.
Detective Gant and Detective Skye were legendary partners. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases.
She must have been good, coming from the same school as Mia. Damon Gant was a respectable detective, that's why. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. Think about it, Miss Skye. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. Did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. but what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day, all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. I know.
So that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago.
When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. You say you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dart? Something like that. If that's so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. Well, just to protect me.
So when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to.
Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body. You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound?
And then you moved the body?
Why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others. Why did you move the body? When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple.
Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Skye moved the body.
The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my palm. Threatened my plan, not palm. Oh my god, I can't read. Pieces of the jar, you mean? Yes, that wretched jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So, when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you looked at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Neil Marshall was dead and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during their struggle.
I see.
What's the matter, Emma? Apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed, but I have a feeling there's more to it than that. There must be a contradiction somewhere. Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. I mean, the jar itself contradicts that, right? Why would it have Emma written on it? We'll give it a try. Miss Skye, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister.
You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered?
If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction in my testimony. You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right.
Do you have a problem with that?
It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so, and this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died. Ah. couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar.
Order, order.
Your Honour, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical. Chief Prosecutor, it seems you are as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth.
Very well, the witness may now continue her testimony.
Jar and message in blood. Witness testimony. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered.
You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood?
I wasn't Chief Prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence.
Very well. The defence may now begin its cross-examination.
Jar and message in blood. I think this is where Emma's prints on the leather show up. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar. We'll press everything, just to be consistent. So the jar was already broken. It's a miracle that the thing hadn't broken earlier.
It certainly looks as feeble as the defence's case.
Wow, damn. But not as feeble as the judge's judgment, yeah. You're an ace detective who never missed a detail. Do you really expect us to believe you didn't investigate what was written on the jar pieces?
Oh, excuse me.
Big yawn. Normally I would have. It was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. So you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust. Well, that helps my case. Hey Nick, you'd do that for me? It seems you two might make up yet. Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was. If someone happened upon the scene, you'd lose your chance to erase the evidence. You must have been in a hurry. I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came.
This is rather shocking.
To be safe, I wiped away the blood. I'm afraid this action of yours reveals what really happened.
What do you mean?
If you really thought Dark killed Prosecutor Marshall, you wouldn't have wiped away the blood. What else could I have done in this situation? Lena. I only had a few moments. There wasn't enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. But how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black in that office. The detective is always prepared, Mr. Wright. Even now I always carry a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry a bottle of emergency luminol wherever I go. I never miss anything. I got every last piece. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. So you illegally rearranged the crime scene? Yes, I don't have any excuse for my actions. I'm so sorry, Lena. I didn't know. I've treated you so badly all this time. It's not too late. There's still plenty of time to make up. After we've gotten to the bottom of this incident.
No doubt this day will leave a permanent stain on the history of the prosecutor's office.
More contradictions have surfaced in her testimony. Your sister's really putting up a fight. She must really care about you. Still, she's not doing this the right way. I think I've finally figured out the contradictions in her testimony. There's one final possibility that might turn everything around. I think this is where we present the piece of cloth. The witness's statement is clearly faulty, Your Honour. Apparently not to that statement, at least.
I'm sorry, but I can see nothing faulty. Unfortunately, I will have to penalise you, Mr. Wright.
Oh, there was a fragment with a line on it still, though. Do we just present the jar again? Final fragment found in Chief Gant's safe. Yeah. I think we just present this again. Yeah, there we go. Miss Sky, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the Chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it.
But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off them.
Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you.
But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece?
I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective.
That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Ha! Can you believe that?
Have you forgotten, Your Honour? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken.
Oh, that.
There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness.
I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant. At the time, he was looking for Dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar?
The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honour, can you answer us that?
Nah. No. Wait, I'm not the one on trial here.
Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence.
But why would Chief Gant do that?
In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear?
What happened afterwards?
Discovering the scene, Lady Sky believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma, and therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Sky became the Chief's puppet. No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the Chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore, for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client.
I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth.
So, new theory, right? The blood on the jar is in fact I can't remember his name. Neil's. I can't remember his surname. Neil Marshall, there we go. God, why did that take a second? I think what happened is somehow Gant is responsible for Marshall's death. And used Marshall's blood to write Emma on the jar, then break it, then hide a piece. This is like left field shit. But I know this game likes to do some wacky stuff. So yeah. Gant wrote Emma's name on the jar using the victim's blood, Neil Marshall. Broke the jar, hid a piece, and then somehow got Emma to wipe the jar clean. I'm not sure. But Emma's prints are on the cloth, and I'm trying to figure it out, and I don't think she did it. I don't know. Wait a minute. What if... still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap.
Is something wrong, Mr. Wright?
Lena, may be right after all. What do you mean, right? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Miss Sky, please testify once more.
But
if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Sky, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, and if you tell the truth... Or if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw.
All right, the witness may testify once more for the final time.
Actual crime scene witness testimony. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armour's sword. Emmett and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I raised all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent.
Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armour's sword?
You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning.
What?
Wrong voice again. Why does Wright suddenly have Judge's voice? What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lena must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture.
I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lena. Lena said she gave it to you this morning, right? I seem to remember getting something from her then. Let's check that evidence again. There must be a picture in there somewhere. It's got to be in this book, right? I might be on like a wild fucking goose chase here. I'm just like... Oh, the back cover. Okay, that's all I needed. Hey, there's a picture here. Oh my. This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like this, because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had arranged everything. Lena's picture inserted into the court record. Mr. Wright! That piece cut out from his vest. Could that be the cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe? What's this? This is a handprint, isn't it? That cloth. It had fingerprints on it. Whoever fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. What? Are those fingerprints... They're yours, Emma? Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer.
Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Actual crime scene. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armour's sword. Oh, Jesus. Gant's back. Come now, IG. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen.
Chief Gant.
What, now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. I don't think anyone innocent electrifies themselves like that. Ah, so what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence.
Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence?
No, I don't. But someone does.
Someone?
So, what's your excuse, Righto? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death? Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt.
Is this true, Mr. Wright?
If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer.
Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now, and if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries.
What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? I don't know. I'm gonna save. And I'm gonna say no first, because I want to protect Emma. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie.
Chief Gant?
You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe?
What? That means you, Chief of Police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of police department.
Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened.
What? You mean you admit to it?
I thought we decided he wasn't allowed to testify. I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lena. So you really were manipulating her. I knew Lena. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted Miss Skye. I told her to rearrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid two pieces of evidence. This was before Lena arrived at the scene, mind you. Two pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe?
But why?
For insurance, of course. Insurance. I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed.
You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence?
What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lena to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar too? That's my point, Edgeworth. Ho ho ho. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Raito. Cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant, that you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe? Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all, but it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Like, there's every chance that he just... Like, I'm demonstrating with my hands a piece of cloth and just pressing it against Emma's hand while she was unconscious.
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago you said you didn't have any evidence you could present.
Foolish move, Raito. You should have shown it then before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. It's making me do it again. Let's save again. Your Honour, I do have evidence to present now.
Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall.
It wants us to present this. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest? Oh yes, at last you've finally brought it out into the open.
There's a handprint on this piece of cloth.
Your Honour, the prosecution requests that immediately be sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather, there must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly.
You mean?
It could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. Ho ho ho. You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Raito had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that?
Mr. Wright, do you really know? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they?
Very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is... We have to present the correct option.
Emma. Emma Skye.
What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Oh, you're really something, Raito. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me.
So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death.
How could you? You monster.
Miss Skye.
You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Skye, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. Ah, but I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposely concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offence. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh, and what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall?
What?
Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you asked?
It was Emma Skye, wasn't it?
I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction, one that proves who the real killer is.
Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth. What could it possibly contradict?
Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. It's the shape of it, it's different, right? And it should be covered in blood. I think it's this photo. Ugh, I'll try it. And what exactly is this supposed to be? This is the picture Miss Sky took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out?
Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though.
Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs no doubt were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth.
Oh, but that piece of cloth. Wait. There's no blood on it.
Ah! Since Emma Sky's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time. No, this is nonsense. Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Ms. Lena Sky, picked up the unconscious prosecutor and impaled him on the armor's sword? Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue, and make Lena believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest. Ironic, isn't it? With the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer. No! We got him. It's finally all over. Oh, that was close, Righto. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations.
What do you mean you refute his allegations?
You see, that piece of cloth is legal evidence.
Order, order. What nonsense is this?
Legal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Aji? Earlier, old Raito here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Raito? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honour, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time.
Well, that's true. The defence did refuse to present evidence.
At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair. Oh, did you actually think you could best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son.
I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth?
True. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal.
Well, Mr. Wright?
It seems, at last, time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived.
Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposefully and illegally concealed this piece of cloth?
I did not. I don't know. I admit I refused to present it at one point. Aha! So the evidence is illegal. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't.
What do you mean, you couldn't?
There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Aji, don't listen to his eyes. He's nothing but a coward. You can't really believe. There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not?
Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now.
This one. This is my proof, Your Honour. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here is the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall, when was that picture presented?
That was shown only a few moments ago.
No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh yes. No. It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the Chief of Police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant, the killer was you. Jesus Christ.
Chill out, my dude.
Holy fuck. He's not gonna have hands left. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. You wanted to reinvestigate the case. You recruited Angel Star, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence route. There are too many questions left unanswered. He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking the evidence out, he said, "It's not too late. I'm going to hand all this over to Marshall." Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor I didn't realise my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker. I used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car? I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Ugh. I mean, I think that he should be required to pay that back as damages. Leaving the prosecution's car aside, how could you get Miss Sky involved in all this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker? I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take. So, you left the jar fragments in the glove? Yeah.
It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer.
Ain't that the truth? They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy. Why do you stand in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me. We're the same. Oh god, not the "we're the same" speech. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. How Aji.
What?
Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend.
I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others in the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person.
Those days are gone now, Aji. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Raito here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes? First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today.
So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered.
I'm sorry, Miss Sky. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you just might make it to the top. That's the first time she's smiled as well. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Sky. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it, I only did my job.
In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Sky.
Yes, Your Honour.
You are innocent of murder. However, although the Chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling?
It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of those heavy chains.
Well, this trial has gone on far too long already.
And so has this episode. Jesus Christ, I don't even know how long it's been. But this is the final episode. It will be an extra long bumper episode, so I hope everyone enjoys.
Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Ms. Lena Skye,
not guilty. Confetti feels a bit trite here, honestly. Not that it ever didn't, but...
That is all. This court is adjourned.
February 25th, 5:03 PM, District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended. I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. You've done well. You know, I did my best too, but Lena didn't say a single word to me.
Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals.
He's always interrupting, bless him.
Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later.
Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it?
You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run around, all around while on duty? And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding.
Oh, are you here because of my sister again?
No, not this time. I came today because of you, pal.
Me?
That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone.
Lena. Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know.
Well, I won't tell if you won't.
Emma. I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago. It was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis. I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake. But now, I realise I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you were only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis. I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realise it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologise. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Oh. Emma. Oh, that's cute. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in so doing, we can find the way back to our rightful path. And it's from there that we can move on toward a brighter future. At least that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe.
Me?
Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. He looks unimpressed that he was caught. Where was he hiding? He just came to say, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right, well, I'll be going now. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realise today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth. Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Is this a very dramatic way of saying he's becoming a defense attorney? Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said, in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You had your boyfriend by your side the whole time. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, a pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright, show him what Lena's talking about. Oh god. Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. I don't know. I thought I was done presenting evidence. I've filed that all away in the back of my head. That's been transferred already. Probably this. We both had half of it, right? That's the picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list and I had the other. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth, if you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, you can let what happened to kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know. Seems I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. This episode is going to be like 2 hours at this point, it feels like. I'd better get going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation. It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. And so, another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, Detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the Chief Prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this. But I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe the guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh? Way to go, Detective. I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here's the one who'll be footing the bill. Huh? Huh? What, you think I could afford it with my salary? You've got to be kidding me, pal. Oh dear. Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. Why is it I suddenly feel like I want to scream? Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go perform crimes together. That's it. We're back at the credits. We did it. I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. I hope she'll be pleased to study under a top coroner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. She could become a detective again, maybe. I don't know. But we made it. Yikes, I thought I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorised investigation of the Chief's office. If we penalised you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Oh. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easy. How long is this episode so far? Bloody hell, it is almost 2 hours long. Well, enjoy the bumper episode. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them though. Someday I'm going to make a detective. Yes sir, then I can be just like that Dick Gumshoe. Yeah, this is... I've done episodes over an hour before, so this isn't like that much longer than that, but it's still... It is definitely a bumper episode for the final one. Oh, the Blue Badger. But yes, thank you for watching the whole series. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun to do this. I'm really glad I played this. Oh no, it died! So I'd definitely be interested in playing the second and or third games in the future. Although not right away. That would be a bit much, I think. I'm gonna take... Well, I've recorded 3 weeks worth. What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Miss Star managed to sneak this into me. She's seeing one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, it looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back a smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? Don't worry, Meekins is on it. We've got one of our best men. Yeah, all of this has been recorded on the same day, from the investigation, like the second half of the investigation partway through the trial. Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu, the Right Way lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around exam time. Just make sure not to eat it backwards. Yeah, some of my earlier left field theories were wild. But yeah, because these are all recorded on the same day, I've got a couple of weeks buffer, so I'm going to take a bit of a break. And then we're going to start a different series. Not exactly sure what yet still.
I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left. Anyway, he said he's been doing something or other for how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I'd better be... oh no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, gotta go.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what will be next. It will be something a bit shorter, I think. But I'm going to spend a couple of weeks thinking about it, figure out what I want to do, and then we'll be back. There probably won't even be a break for you guys. Nothing soothes the soul like a fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you in your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Maya, afternoon training's about to begin. Coming! Well, see you around, Nick. Yeah, I've got a couple of ideas in my head of options, so... we'll see what I decide to do. Because I don't even know yet, as of time of recording. I might know as of time of posting. But yeah, this has been a really fun series to do. I'm glad I managed to stick with it pretty much. Like, I think I missed 1 week, and I was late on a couple of them. Mr. Edgeworth, I brought you your tea. What's going on? Ooh, interesting. What was I saying? that just distracted me. I've been recording for like 2 hours straight. Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lena, all I have to do is open this book. Oh, it's making me open the book. Oh, that's cute. I love the little hat. There's the achievement, popping up in the middle of the screen for some reason. Objection! No, I'm kidding. That's it. I'm done. But yeah, as I said, there might be a week's break. I think I stuck with this pretty well. That's what I was saying before I was interrupted. I know a couple of episodes were like late and at weird times. I think I might have missed 1 week. 1 or 2, I'm not sure. But part of this, like, I just tried it to see if I enjoyed making videos, which I do. It's been a lot of fun. And when I made the first episode, I wasn't even sure if I'd go past that. But then I was like, no, that was quite fun and I'm enjoying the game, so I'll carry on. And then I got sucked into it. But yes, the next series, whatever I end up doing, is probably going to end up being a bit shorter. I don't know if it'll be like a visual novel style like this either, but we'll see. I'll figure something out, and I'm sure it'll be fun whatever it is. At least I hope so. But thank you so much everyone for sticking with me through this. This has been an absolute blast to record for you all. I hope you've enjoyed watching it as much as I've enjoyed playing it. And hopefully I'll see you in the next series, whatever that ends up being. Thank you so much. I will see you all soon. Bye bye.